Moments with Mélissa. We are live on all channels. We are live, Hi 781 Tax Services. We are live on Instagram. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook. We are live on all the places. I just want to give a little shout out. I don't know if y'all can hear them, but I want to give a shout out to my friend Eric Harris. So EricHeras. Eric is on Green Room. And so I think he's going to maybe even broadcast live on Green Room right now. But today it's another morning and it's another moment. Oops. Let's make sure y'all can hear me. Hopefully y'all can hear me on all channels. As part of that, we're going to pull another card. And I did that just a little bit earlier. So give me a second, y'all, for those watching the replay. I appreciate your patience as we're just adding another channel today. Or at Curly Executive on IG, Facebook. All right. I let them know that I gave them a shout out, my friends on Green Room. I see that we have some family. Hi, Susan. People are popping on. Ooh, I'm getting all sorts of messages now. So I see we have some family on Facebook and YouTube. So say, hey, hi, Susan. Thank you for being here another moment. And today is going to be an interesting one. The card I pulled for us today is abundance. The card I pulled for us today is abundance. I'm going to light my sage here and then read the card to y'all. Light some sage and then actually light some Palo Santo. Just want to cleanse the space today. We had a really interesting weekend. Club Workflow did, I'm going to tell you about it as we allow people to get a little moment to get on. Club Workflow did conscious money manifestation with Yvonne. Yvonne is a member of our community. She has a company called Horizon Healing Arts, and she did an amazing, just a session to help us really think about manifesting money. And this flows really well with this card. Like, how do we bring abundance into our lives? How do we bring money into our lives? So we're talking specifically on money. We were also talking about, we also then after did a healing session. I personally did a healing session with her, and another few people popped on in. So we made it a group session, very woo-woo of us. But the beautiful thing about having this and then pulling the card that I pulled for today is it makes me think about something, which is that if you don't truly believe you're worthy, it's going to be hard to manifest the things. And I see we have some people on YouTube or on Facebook. So please say hey, so I know who you are and where you're joining in from. But I'm going to go ahead and read this card for today. So this is the card. If y'all can see it, don't know if you can see it, but I'm going to show it to my Instagram people first and then my Facebook and YouTube. It says, I am worthy and I deserve an abundance of anything that I require. I am worthy and I deserve an abundance of anything that I require. I watch my thoughts to ensure that I'm honoring and respecting myself. I honor myself by knowing that I am worthy to receive. I am open to receive now. I remind myself that it is a step and a sign of help, a sign of strength to ask for help. So I remind myself that it is a sign of strength to ask for help. I'm worthy and I deserve an abundance of anything that I require. I watch my thoughts to ensure that I'm honoring and respecting myself. And so as I look at this, card, I was thinking about how it relates to me, how it relates to life, how it relates to business. And a couple of the things that came up for me is right before this, I ended up on this call with my friend Eric in Green Room. And it was funny because everything happens for a reason. So I got the ping this morning. It was about 5:30 a.m. And I was like, this is going to have me a little bit delayed. This is going to have me a little bit delayed for my morning as I get set up. Today we are teaching a launch in full flow. So it is the first day of 14 days of launching with my people. And we got on the conversation of race. Race in America, everything that went on over the past year. And one of the things that I realized from that conversation that I happened to have this morning before pulling this card was that I didn't believe that I was worthy for most of my life. I didn't believe that I deserved equal treatment for most of my life. If I truly think about it, we were sharing it's not a painful memory because I've just internalized it and normalized it in the way that many Black people do because we have to, right? To just wake up every day. But as a kid, and I hope that my mom might see this because she's going to be really sad. But as a kid, I was very afraid. Police would pull us over, stop us, frisk us all the time in Miami, just because we were in the neighborhood. And ironically, it was in our neighborhood. And I always made myself feel better because sometimes they would make very inappropriate statements to me, suggesting that I was good looking. So compliments that shouldn't have been said to a very young girl. So I would make myself feel better by telling myself that worst case, I would probably get raped. I probably wouldn't die, right? This is a kid, right? Saying, oh, well, I probably won't die. They'll probably just rape me. And I would make myself feel better by saying that. And when you realize that, when I think about that, I realize that for a long time in my life, I did not feel equal. I didn't feel like I even deserved equality. I didn't even feel like I should fight. I just felt like, well, this was the world and these were my conditions and I would have to function in them. Okay. So one, right? I didn't feel worthy of being equal, right? I didn't feel like I deserved it. Even if I felt like I deserved it, I felt that it was normal not to have it. I normalized not being equal, not having the same, right? The other thing that I was realizing is I thought of this card and I see a few people joining us. Hi, Denise. We are talking about a card that I pulled about abundance. And so much of being abundant in life stems from feeling worthy. And so I like to bring this back to life and personal stories and then from life and personal stories to the work. Right. And so, I just have many instances in life of enduring and dealing with racism that make me realize that for a long time, I was used to not achieving or being equal or having access to things at the same levels, right? I was used to not believing that I was worthy of more, right? Even if I knew I was, I didn't act in that way. When things happened to me, I maybe laughed them off or brushed them off instead of digging deep and saying, no, I deserved more, right? And affirming that for myself. I didn't have the language or the words to affirm that for myself. I didn't even share those stories with people who mattered to me, who maybe could have affirmed it for me, right? So number one, I grew up with inequality. I grew up being told and shown over and over again that I wasn't deserving of the same level of achievement, of gifts, of benefits, of even just basic level of equality. Number two, I didn't have the language. When I think back to my corporate career, and this came back in entrepreneurship, so this is why we're going here, there were a lot of words that were not used to describe me. There were a lot of words that were used to describe me. I was called aggressive or ambitious, or it's a lot of A words, assertive. But I was never called creative. I was never called innovative, even though I was. And so the language that was used to describe me was a different set of vocabulary than the language that was used to describe my white peers in work and my other peers in work. And so when I keep thinking through, I'm like, wow, it's no wonder. It's no wonder that when I was an entrepreneur on my own, that it took me a little bit longer and that it was harder for me because I was starting from a position where I probably didn't truly believe that I was worthy of the abundance that I was worthy of, right? And that I deserved and that I was eventually able to get to. But for me, I had to untrain some things. I had to untrain some deep rooted beliefs where I knew I was equal, but I didn't force myself. I didn't hold people accountable. I didn't treat myself in an equal way. Where frankly, I didn't know. Like you look at this room, you look at all these things behind me. I didn't know I was creative. I didn't know. And so it took me a long time to find the words for myself. But once I started finding those words, once I started giving myself that, once I started having these affirmations, once I started leaning into my power, once I dove deep, I could get a little further. And luckily, I had a head start because I had an amazing family that gave me a lot of these words, right? But without doing that work, without really diving deep and getting to the point of no, but wait, you are these things, I couldn't get to and reach that next level of abundance. And so again, if you're joining right now, the card is, I am worthy and I deserve an abundance of anything that I require. I watch my thoughts to ensure that I'm honoring myself and respecting myself. I honor myself by knowing that I'm worthy to receive. I'm open to receive now. I remind myself that it is a strength and a sign of strength to ask for help. And so this idea of I watch my thoughts to ensure that I'm honoring and respecting myself. This would have been the moment where I would say, no, I can't settle for being raped over death. That's not appropriate, right? These are not words I get to utter to myself, right? I'm a queen. I don't deserve that level of treatment. I shouldn't be okay with that. And again, there was context of this discussion this morning. So if y'all missed it, come hang out with me. We'll talk about some deep things. But that discussion brought up the fact for me that, oh my gosh, for my whole life, there were so many ways that I did not watch my thoughts to ensure I was honoring myself. And then also, I honor myself by knowing that I'm worthy to receive, right? I'm open to receive now. So where this then came into play for me was in entrepreneurship. As an entrepreneur, I realized that at some point in time, and I would say that I wasn't money motivated, but really I had a money mindset lurker, as I like to call them. And it wasn't until I saw it happening over and over again with really amazing clients. Like they would do what they needed to do. They were amazing at their work. But when it came time to sell, when it came time to receive, they would have problems. They would shut down. And the reality was that for many of them, they didn't truly feel worthy to receive. They didn't truly believe that they deserved the gifts or the return for their work. And so, I started doing more and more work on money mindset in order to help my clients. And then I uncovered a money mindset issue for myself. And my issue is always consistency and continuing to want to make money. I could make it for a specific reason or specific task or in a specific season. But with consistency, it was difficult. And so much of that was rooted in me understanding my personal money stories and in a lack of worthiness. And so what I mean by that is like, even within personal money stories, there are truths, right? And there are truths that we have to ignore if we are going to excel. And so let me give you one truth. If you're a Black woman in America, your as an entrepreneur, we only make $24,000 on average. If you anchor yourself in that truth, if you believe that Black women in America, entrepreneurs only make $24,000 and that that's normal, right? If you normalize that, how do you expect to make a million, right? Like, how do you shoot for that if you're saying, but yeah, it's normal. If I don't get it, it's not a big deal because I'm only supposed to make 24K, right? So there are facts that I found that if I anchored myself in too much, I would never succeed. I would never succeed because that that truth, right, literally would hold me back. Hey, Chanel. Hey, Chanel. I see a few people. So thank you guys for joining in on Facebook and on YouTube. I see a few people on Instagram too. And so again, today we're talking about abundance. It says I'm worthy and I deserve an abundance of anything that I require. And I was just sharing some personal stories and realizing that some of the race issues I grew up with, some of the narratives that were told, some of even the true facts about achieving in the States were my main barriers to success for a while, because deep down, I didn't really believe I was worthy. I knew I was worthy, but deep down, I didn't believe it. And so I'd love to have more of a discussion about this one. I would love to say that if you're here, definitely drop a comment if this is resonating with you. If you're not here right now, drop a comment and let's have a discussion in comments. I have less to say about this topic and more of an opening to say, let's talk about this topic. But just to say that today has been a pretty interesting morning because, starting with a deep conversation on race in green room with my new friends over there, and then reading this card, there's another level. Every day we wake up, we find different levels. And I'm like, oh shit, there is another level of depth here. There's a whole decade, 2 decades, 3 decades of my life as a child where I was essentially trained to understand that I wasn't worthy of and didn't deserve and wouldn't get, maybe not didn't deserve, but wouldn't get fair treatment, and that I had to exist in this world. And so I had to adapt, right? And what that does to your mindset is insane. And especially when you've practiced it, it becomes a habit. And so much of now the work now is unlearning it. But I think today I was blessed with that conversation that brought me to a deeper level of understanding that this goes beyond corporate or any other, systems or mojo. This goes way deeper into, wow, ever since I was a child, there were some things that I didn't think that I could receive, And what's funny for me as a child, I wasn't money minded, so I never dreamt of, like, some kids, they dream of having the dollars and the this and the that. I didn't see it that way. So I didn't even have that. And so yeah, I know not as philosophical as I am normally. Not as much of a point today, more so it's called moments, right? It's called moments. But I think if I want to leave you with one thing today, is having that conversation with yourself. Do you actually believe you are worthy? But also, if you think back on your life, have you been acting worthy? Have you really been, have you really like delved into that for yourself? Think about the things, the compromises you were willing to make, the treatment you were willing to accept, the moments that you didn't stand up for yourself, the things that you were willing to put up with, the things that you said, well, it could be worse. I could have had this, so I'm going to take this because it's not as bad as it could be, right? Because you need to aggressively attack those things in your mind, because all of that will weigh back on you when you are an entrepreneur. All of those things will show up in your business and show up in your ability to to receive, to charge, to make money for your work, for your thoughts. And so again, the question is, do you truly believe you are worthy? Have you, and if you believe it, have you acted in alignment with that? Have you acted in alignment with that? And like I said, there's a difference between knowing and believing. And I think for me, believing is an active part. And it's the actions that we need to take to ensure that we are keeping our head right. We are keeping that money mindset right. We are keeping our own personal mindset right. The thing that's going to take us to the next level. And so I have some work to do, y'all. I think I've uncovered some of the more recent work, like the more recent traumas, if I can put them that way, of corporate, of certain things. But there are probably bigger underlying things there, things that happened to me as a child, things that happened to me in life where I have to say, like, no. And so I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to pay attention as I make compromises. I'm going to pay attention as I fall into behaviors, right, with clients, right, where I let people treat me certain ways or run me around or do certain things. I'm going to pay attention to these things to ensure that my actions, right, are in alignment with the belief that I'm worthy, and are not in alignment with the training that I've received from just being a Black woman in America, and knowing, frankly, that my situation is not equal, right? And I guess that's the last point I'll leave on. And again, if you're joining late, I see a few people popping up. We had a card for today. The card was about abundance. It says, I'm worthy and I deserve an abundance of anything that I require. I watch my thoughts to ensure that I'm honoring and respecting myself. I honor myself by knowing I'm worthy to receive. I'm open to receive now. I remind myself that it's a sign of strength to ask for help. And so, for me, the focus of this card, the focus of this moment that I've been taking is this idea that I haven't always watched my thoughts to ensure that I'm honoring and respecting myself. And I've made compromises in life, partly because I had to, but compromises with my language as well, and with how I was speaking to myself, and with the internal things I would tell myself. And so for me, as I'm saying, the actions I'm taking is just to dig in with this more, to sit with this more, to check myself more, to ensure that I am showing up as my most powerful self, because it's that self that will receive, right? To dig into this worthiness, to dig into those moments where, you know what, I wasn't honoring myself, and to say that, right? And to realize that this idea of asking for help is so important, because I'm sure if I'd gone home and told my mom those stories, she would have said some very different things. As a child, I don't think I knew to do that in the right way, right? And or I was worried that it would hurt her. That was the real. I was very worried it would hurt her. And so yeah, that's it for today. Any thoughts today? I don't usually do questions on morning moments, but if there's any thoughts for today, definitely throw them up. Would love to read them. Would love to post the comments. Hey, from Gigolo to Jesus. I want to say hi, and hi, Susan. Susan, it's good to see you coming through again. I appreciate you being here. And thank you, Chanel. Thank you, Chanel. But I know today was heavy. But this concept that if we are truly going to seek abundance, we need to really think about ourselves, and not just what we believe in, what we know to be true, but what we really believe and reinforce with our actions daily. Chanel is saying we all have some work to do in this area. I agree. We all have some work to do in this area. I think it's so interesting too, because I've been doing work in this area of how one moment, right? Like the conversation I had this morning, right before reading this card, I was like, oh crap, there's more work to do. There's some other things here. But yeah, we all have some work to do in this area. And I hate saying this, but I feel like saying this too. I think that when you are Thank you from Gigolo to Jesus. From Gigolo to Jesus on Instagram says, thank you for your openness and honesty. You helped me when we spoke. I appreciate you, and I'm so happy I could help. But yeah, we all have some work to do in this area. And I think the reality is the work that we're doing is going to be continuous because it's training. Like if we've been programmed for years, if we've been trained for years, we have to untrain ourselves probably for years to get there. And so it's a practice. It's a practice. And yeah, it's been 25 minutes. We normally rock out for 20 to 30 minutes. Today is a big day for me, y'all. I got dressed up. I put on my, you can't see them, but I got my Louboutins on because we are going to be rocking out in Club Workflow. We're teaching launch in full flow again. I've got 5 amazing women joining me. We are launching existing or new businesses or sometimes new products or new businesses for many of them. And it's going to be exciting. And so I'm excited, and I'm trying to, continue my deep dive in worthiness, in receiving, and all of those things, so that I can be that person who can share these things, and bring them to my people. And so I see a few of you on here, so thank you for that. Thanks for everyone who showed up for the live stream. And this will be available in replays shortly. So if you're like, I missed it, don't worry. It literally goes live as soon as I end the broadcast. We're currently live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. And I know I have some friends on Green Room who may or may not be listening, who are popping it over. And so with that, love you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Chanel says, thanks for sharing. Thank you for showing up. I know it was a heavy day. Sometimes we will have heavy days and they're not bad. They're not bad. I know today I wasn't the most eloquent, but I will not apologize for it, because that's not a promise, y'all. I just promised to show up. Thank you, Chanel. Chanel saying all the best for launch in full flow. Thank you for that. Have an amazing day, y'all. Have an amazing day. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate you so much. We are here. It is another week. If I wake up early enough tomorrow, which I should, I will be here again. I love you. I love you. I love you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye, everyone.